Let me ask you a question. As a balloon artist or even an event decorator, do you ever go through periods where you experience a complete creative block? Because to be honest, that's exactly what I've been going through lately. And I have my suspicions as to why, but that might be a topic for another day. So when I was asked to do a garland for a safari-themed baby shower, I knew I had to figure this out. And I'm going to bring you along with me to show you exactly how. Because it's safari themed, the first thing I wanted to do is imagine what would a safari look like. So I'm thinking about all of the animals that are there first. You have your elephants with their cute little babies, giraffes with those big bold prints, the fierce lions and cheetahs on the savannah. You know, all of that fun stuff. But my client also wanted lots of green, so I had to think, what about those jungle safaris or even forest safaris? So now we're talking about lots of lush green foliage, hanging vines, cute little baby monkeys in the trees, all of that good stuff that makes the perfect setup for any safari-themed baby shower. So you might be wondering, did that exercise work? Did it help me get over my creativity block? Well, keep watching and I'm going to show you the setup from start to finish, and I'll let you be the judge. And if you're finding this helpful or even entertaining, go ahead and hit that like button. Now we talked about the inspiration, but let's get into these colors, okay? So I used Gmar Latte for my white sand look. Sempertex Eucalyptus, Calisan Retro Desert Sand. I have the Sempertex Fashion White Sand, but I didn't actually use it because I had the Gmar. And some Decomex Emerald. And these really cute Safari Mutant balloons by Calisan. They're like the animal print, but a little bit more wild, a little bit more unique. I recommend trying them if you want animal print, but just something a little bit different. By the time I arrived to the venue, this big grass wall was already set up and ready for me to go. They paired it with a tropical wall just to extend the display, but I was only doing balloons up and over one side. I was in a little bit of a rush this day, so I pre-constructed my garland using clusters of 6 and 8 with 11-inch and 18-inch balloons. I managed to attach the garland to the wall by using 260s and threading them through the spaces of each individual panel of the grass wall. And just in case you're wondering, it wasn't easy. But to my relief, it worked, and that's when I started filling out my base. And by this, I just took my clusters of 6 and tied them into the bottom part of the garland that touches the floor. It was at this point I was able to channel the safari pictures I had seen, and I started adding in my animal print balloons. What was weird to me were these green zebra stripe balloons, because I'm like, are these supposed to be reptilian or is it supposed to be some interpretation of a zebra? I'm not sure. I still like the way they looked. This one was my favorite though. And looking around, I realized that faux plants were a big part of the decor setup for the event. So I started thinking maybe I could make a garland that mimics the shape and the idea of a vine, you know, kind of like one that's draping down from a tree. So that's what I tried to do here. I took a pre-constructed garland and used fishing line to semi-suspend this from the ceiling. And so what I did with these drop ceilings is you can move those panels right there and stick the fishing line through the metal supports of the panels and then through the other panel back down. That's a really easy way if a venue has drop panels, but please, I'm not liable for any damage, so don't quote me on that. But that's what I did. And it worked out pretty well. So it was like semi-suspended, but it was also resting on top of the grass wall and just like I said, draping over it, giving me the idea of what those vines would look like in nature. Because the left side was completely exposed, I wanted to make sure that I filled it out as much as possible so it didn't look bald when people would go to the side, because on that side was a DJ. People will be walking back and forth and I didn't want it to be bald in that area. So that's just what I'm doing here, is filling it out, backfilling and making sure that it looks good from all angles. And in the middle of all of that, I stopped to blow up my 24-inch Safari Mutant balloon and put in my 5-inch fillers. Since foliage was such a big part of the look, I decided to add plenty into my garland, which is why I incorporated these ferns, eucalyptus, some orchids, and just a few lilies. And 5 minutes later, this was the final look. Overall, I love how everything came together. A mix of the colors with the animal print balloons, the foliage, and just the amazing job the event planner did with the entire setup really brought the vision to life. If you were to ask me today, I would say that the exercise of envisioning the theme did help me kind of overcome some creativity stumbling blocks. However, it wasn't enough. I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and that is something I'm going to speak to a little bit more. I'm going to experiment with some ideas, try some different techniques, and when I feel like I found something that works, I'm going to bring them back here to you. In the meantime, if you need more creative inspiration, check out these other videos. I think you might like them. And if you found this video relatable, help share it with others by hitting that like button, or maybe even subscribe.